Friends, welcome once again. We were discussing the meaning of democracy in the last session. Now, in this session, we are going to discuss about the nature of democracy, that is, direct democracy and representative democracy, and again, the dimensions of democracy in India. First, we will discuss direct democracy. Where people have a direct participation in governance is called a direct democracy. It is found in Switzerland. People are involved in lawmaking there. Now you may be wondering how this participation is done. This question is obvious. The answer is there. Please see what they did. There are four ways of participation, of direct participation, I should say, in the functioning of legislature in Switzerland. First is a bill is introduced in the legislature that can be legislated with the approval of the public. So public consent, people's consent to approve the bill is essential. Second thing is it is the people who propose what the law should look like. You see that it means the people proposes the bill and the legislature considers it. Third is about the public opinion on an important question is the first and foremost taken into account in Switzerland in a direct democracy. And fourth is important as far as working of representatives in the concerned bodies is concerned. People have the right to recall the elected representatives of the people, they act responsibly. These methods are called, respectively, referendum, initiative, plebiscite, and recall. I have given these terms because you should be acquainted with the terminology used in democracy. Now, let's look at a representative government. Given the size of the population, it is not possible for all people to participate in the government. For example, India. And therefore representative democracy has been adopted in that place. For example, the United States, India, here we have a representative democracy. This method is adopted in many countries of the world. There are some variants of this too. Parliamentary democracy, presidential democracy, controlled democracy, guided democracy, etc. In India, we have embraced parliamentary democracy. It is in the name we recognize the superiority of the legislature. In the parliamentary democracy, the executive is collectively responsible to the legislature. I already talked about that. Parliamentary democracy operates in England too, as it does in India. To understand parliamentary democracy in depth, understand the information about the relationship from the books on democracy, because it is not possible to deal with all the aspects of parliamentary form of democracy or representative form of democracy in this discourse. So it will be advisable to have a look into it in the textbooks or like that. Now let's talk little about the nature of democracy. Democracy is generally defined as a social, economic, and political democracy. These three factors are related with each other. You can't think of them independently because if you do, there is a possibility of confusion. Thus, all three have to be considered together for a democracy to succeed. Do you understand? No. All right. Let's see what Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has to say in this regard so that everything will be clear. He says, and I quote, "We should not be contented with political democracy alone. We should not be content with mere political democracy alone. We must make our political democracy a social democracy as well. Political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the base of its social democracy. What does social democracy mean? It means a way of life you see how Dr. Ambedkar thinks about the success of the democracy. Unless we have a social democracy, there is no meaning to the political democracy, because inequalities in the sense of uh, social inequality, economic inequality, if they prevail in the society, political democracy will not function very successfully. And that is the intention where Dr. Ambedkar wanted to have our own attention. In this context, let's take another view of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. You know that he spoke on the draft constitution when submitted to the Constituent Assembly for approval on 25th November 1949. In his speech, Dr. Ambedkar had also said in the Constituent Assembly about the democracy. He says, in politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. This is in contest with the adoption of the constitution. He wanted to say that we are going to adopt the constitution, and constitution gave us the political right, right to vote, etc. And after exercising right to vote, we will have a political democracy. But when we'll go for political democracy in independent India, there remain a social and economic inequality. And in such a situation, what will happen? This is about the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar have cautioned us. How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? This is the question. If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. This is the caution, and therefore he stresses the importance of equality on all fronts. Friends, this would require addressing inequalities at the social and economic level to preserve political democracy. Only then can this democracy survive. Otherwise, it will be assumed that its end is near. We cannot ignore this as a responsible citizens of India. This is very important as far as the future of the country is concerned. And future of the country is in your hands. So dear friends, that's all about this. See you in the next session.